Hey, everybody, it's Chris Mahan with another Lead Your Teen podcast. And this is our first episode of After the Cap and Gown. This is a summer-long series to help you and your young person, 18 to 24, a little bit younger if need be, to figure out what's next. What are they going to do after high school, after college? If they didn't go to college, but they graduated, what's next from 18, 19, 20 years old? If they didn't graduate, how do they move forward if they don't have a diploma? What can they do? If they've had legal issues or academic issues, how can they move forward? This whole podcast series is designed with special guests to help answer some of those questions for you. And today, I have a super special guest. I have Giselle Madera-Rodriguez, who is in education. She works with young people, and she's going to kind of walk you through some of those steps that she deals with kids that are maybe having some issues. So, welcome, Giselle. Welcome to this awesome redo. It's
Well,
a redo.
thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It's great to be here.
back. This is
Um, so I'll just give you a little background on myself. So I started out with the little guys. So I worked with 0 to 3 initially, early childhood education. That's what my master's degree is in. And then I kind of shifted to preschool. And then after that, I've shifted to middle school. So basically, I've worked with all the age groups. And now I've pivoted a little bit and I work with high school students, which I love. I really enjoy that age group. They're trying to be adults, but have not figured it out yet. And I feel like I really work well with them in the sense of giving them those skills that they need to help them in life, but also help them finish school and all the things that are going to help them to be able to get to their goals and actually start planning them. I help them a lot with that as well.
that's awesome. And I work with young people as well, as everyone should know
Right.
through this podcast. If you are new to this podcast, it's all about the parent-child relationship with an emphasis on parental leadership. So all of our guests are here to help you and your young person, uh, like she just said, move forward and figure out life. It's really hard for a lot of kids today. So when you're talking about, we talked earlier, and you said you're working with a lot of kids in a kind of a different type of high school, called Victory High School. What's that all
Right.
about?
So I work for Victory High School, which is a high school for students that are in recovery from substances and also have mental health issues. We have 3 campuses, one in Tampa, one in Pinellas, and one in Hillsborough. And we service students from 14 to 18 years old. The school was started 5 years ago by Tina Miller. She's our founder and our director. She's amazing. She had a dream and she made it come true. I just started with the school last year and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. But we have saved so many lives. The school has saved so many lives. Like these students come in and a lot of them don't have any hope for the future or don't even look towards the future. And then when they come to our school and they're able to get the services that they get, which, allow them to grow and feel safe, which a lot of them may have never felt, then they start going, oh, wait, I can have a future. I can look forward to something. And that's where I come in. I'm the academics manager, and I'm able to work with them and start planning that, whether that's while they're still with us, maybe starting dual enrollment, which allows them to take college credits for free. And they're like, wait, I can graduate with an associate's degree? That's amazing. And it's available, I believe, in most states. And that's a wonderful thing because you don't have to pay for it. If your child is able to take college credits before they even graduate and have an associate's when they graduate. Both my kids did that. And that was a blessing and such an amazing thing to be able to do. And I think every child, if they're able to, um, whether it's, because of academics or mental health, whatever the case may be, if they're able to do that, I think they should take advantage of it. And then also, most of them after that want to continue going to college. Maybe they never even thought about it, but they're like, well, I have my associates. I might as well just keep going. But we also give them options because not everyone wants to go to college. So if that's not the case, we look at technical schools, trade schools, so they can, whether they want to be an electrician or an HVAC specialist, or if they enjoy making music like so many of our young people do today. There's so many programs out there where they can learn how to make music and do something they're passionate about, which I feel is crucial. Like I feel like that's one of the things I try to tap into mostly with them is what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? What do you enjoy? What have you experienced? Sometimes the experience can be minimal, and that's why we try to give them a broad band of experiences as well at the school. And just in my also my personal business, which is Growth and Connections, I work with teens as well, which is nice because it aligns. Like I get to do both in my business and in my regular job as well. And with the teens I work with, I do very similar things. So it definitely aligns. Um, like one of my parents called me up. It was an old friend. She's like, "I need your help. She needs to do her college applications." And I was like, "I got you." Like within 2 weeks, everything was done. She got into FIT. She was so happy. So, just parents sometimes need that little bit of extra help. And I am able to give that. In our school, I strictly deal with the students because I'm the academics manager. We have someone that deals with the parents and support our parents, which is amazing because in most schools, you don't have that separation. You have a guidance counselor doing everything. But in our school, we stay in our lanes and we're able to help the students in our different ways, which I think it's a really great model, and I wish more schools would follow that. But I think it's amazing what we're able to do at the school, and I love what I do. So it really is not really a job.
Well, those, and gosh, where do I start? There's so many kids today, whether they had academic issues or substance abuse, which that's a whole other discussion altogether. But
Right,
sometimes it's just they just don't know how to get to the next level. And you mentioned parents, which I think is really awesome because a lot of times parents, if they don't know what they don't know, they keep doing the same old thing or they rely too much on a school or they just don't do anything at all. And that's not really fair to their student. It's not fair to really them as a parent because you're missing out. I think part of being a good parent to me is working through some of those things with your kids and kind of figuring things out together. I
right,
know my boys were trying to figure out what branch of the military to go in. We looked at all of them. We looked at a lot of different things, and it was fun for me because I got to see how they were exploring their options, but also I knew that when they went in to the Marine Corps, it was something they wanted to do, and it wasn't just, well, I'm just going to go to the military to go to the military. Like they had a goal to get something out of
right,
it. And I think for a lot of parents, when you just have your kid go do their own thing or nothing at all, you're really missing out on a lot of parenting experiences, things that are a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed doing that with them. I didn't go to boot camp, but they had to do that. But it was fun
right,
part of that with them. And of course, graduation was awesome and different things. And, um, I just talked to my oldest one today. He's going to New York and Boston. It's called Fleet Week. He gets to go out and just tour these cities and represent the Marine Corps. It's kind of cool. So, when you're dealing with these parents or these kids, what are some of the biggest barriers that they have? I know you said recovery, and that's again, that's a whole other discussion. But is it they just don't see themselves being successful, or they don't see themselves in a more positive light? Like, how do you bring that out of them to get them to realize, okay, I can do something. I'm not going to be this, what people maybe have said I'm going to be, or I'm not going to be this dropout. Like, how do you motivate them or help kind of spark that little interest in them to get to the next level?
right. So I basically apply the same concepts I applied with my little ones. When I worked with the babies, like even getting a baby to work for you, you have to build a rapport. They have to feel safe. And
Mhm.
it's the same thing with our teens. They have to feel safe. They have to know that they can count on you, that they can trust you. And it goes slow. Like I don't just jump in and go, okay, these are the expectations. This is what you need to do. I find a way to connect with them. Whether it's telling them things I've experienced with my own kids, just to help get them to understand that I get you. I know where you've been. I know where you're going. I get these things. And I share things about my own personal childhood that connects with them sometimes. And it makes them feel more comfortable and understand that you're not looking down on them. You're not judging them. You're coming from a place of like, I get you. I've been there. And that really makes a difference. It allows them to feel safe. It allows them to open up. And some nuts are a little harder to crack. Don't get me wrong. Like some students take a little longer, but when they actually get to that point where they feel comfortable with you, it's really like the sky's the limit, because then you can push a little harder. Yeah, and I basically, like in my business, when I work with my students, it's similar to what I do at the school, but I make a plan with them. I have these kids and I'm like, okay, this is our plan. What do you need to get done for this week? And I basically just walk them through basic organization, right? Okay, so you have a test in 2 weeks. So let's set up a schedule on when are you going to study for this test? We're 2 weeks away. We're not going to study the night before only, right? We're going to set this up because we want to reduce anxiety and stress, and, knowing what you have to do. And so I just finished creating a digital planner that I plan to release that I think is going to be helpful for parents, because it'll help them just be able to guide their kids. Because if you, like you said, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, when we were growing up, it was like, I mean, for me, it was like I was on my own. I figured things out. Like now, parents, want to be involved, but they don't necessarily know even where to start because they didn't have that. So I think also like encouraging the parents that,
Yeah.
even our teens, like, don't let them just lock themselves in their room and ignore them. Like, it's so important to have that connection with them. And that doesn't necessarily mean, every time you interact with them, you're going to have these hard conversations, because that's not going to be good for building that either. Like, it has to start slow. Take them out for ice cream. Don't even bring up school. Don't even bring up anything that's difficult. You have to build that bond first, right? Maybe the next time, you go shopping with them. Okay, don't bring it up there either. And then when it's a quiet time and you're feeling a little more comfortable, that you see that they're coming to you and they're opening up, there's your in. That's when you can be like, if they're coming to you and they're asking for help, or even suggesting that they're looking to you for guidance, give it to them. That's your opening right there. And just try to be patient. Ask them questions, open-ended questions. Like I always, so what are your thoughts on this? Which is very different than my approach maybe when my kids were little. I've learned a lot since then, but it's like, what do you think about this? Do
That's,
you think that's a good choice?
communication. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm not trying to step on you here because I just had like this idea.
Yeah.
So I did an interview a while back with Jason Rates, and he is a communication expert. He does talks with banks and companies because he's teaching executives how to communicate. And his whole thing is you don't speak at someone, you speak with someone, right? You speak with them, you don't speak at them. And I think if corporations are paying him to come and teach their adults how to communicate and listen and interact, it's kind of difficult for us to think that parents and their kids are going to have that perfect communication skill as well.
Yes.
Do you guys offer, or do you encourage parents to maybe take some communication classes, or just look into better ways to talk, like don't use you statements, use I statements, and
Right.
there's different ways of communicating to get your point across without seeming like you're judging or yelling or closing down, because kids mimic what they see, right? They
Exactly. Right. That's
So
very true.
one of the
Very
things
true.
that
Even with my little ones, it was the same thing. Like I
and we
always tell parents, Give them two choices that are yours, right? I mean, they're babies. They don't
Right.
understand. Give
When
them
your
two
kid,
choices that are yours and let them feel they have some power, right?
yes, oh my
And
gosh, I believe we just said that. That's so awesome because one thing I talk about in my book is personal power, and young people especially teenagers 17, 18, they want to start having some autonomy. They want to start making some choices.
right,
Yes, they're making a lot more choice than they did when they were younger, but now I think that when they're 15, 16, 17, they're still under your household rules, of course, and they're still minors and they're still your kids, but they're also trying, they're on the cusp of becoming a little more adult, giving them options that maybe we choose, but say, okay, do this or do this. It's allowing them to feel like they're making some choices for themselves.
right,
And I always tell parents, it's like, what if you were at a job and your boss just shut you down, didn't listen, was a very toxic environment? I hate to use that word, but it's one we all use today. But it's
right,
uneasy. It's a very difficult environment to be in, and one that you don't feel supported or feel encouraged or feel heard. How would you feel? And they look at me and they're like, well, I said, no, you would quit. You'd be looking for a new job right away. Now, put that into your son or daughter's shoes. They can't just quit you. They can't just quit their home. I mean,
exactly,
they do what's called running away, or they shut down some other way, and we don't want that. They can't leave. So it's really our duty to them as parental leaders to be the ones to understand communication, to understand listening, to understand how to ask an open-ended question, to
right,
teach them how to maybe create a goal and set it and take it by step. I know
right.
you said you have someone else who works with parents, but do you hear from your kids at this school that they're going through, like, you're telling them one thing, but then at home they're hearing something else that's maybe conflicting with that? Or is there a lot of support from their parents at home in what they're doing with the school?
It varies. I mean, you have different situations. Some parents are struggling just as much as the student, you know, and then you might have, it looks from the outside as the ideal family. They're perfect, the two kids, the two dogs, the perfect house. And you realize that they're going through the same thing as the parents that are really financially struggling and can't make ends meet and don't have food on the table every night. It doesn't discriminate, when it comes to your door. So, whether it's, substance abuse issues, mental health issues. I mean, right now, we don't even want to get into that, but with, the internet and social media, there's been so many cases of that more now with our kiddos because they're too young, having all these input. And that's where it's more important for the parents to be involved and monitor what these kids are doing. I mean, these kids it's like a whole other, but there's so
Yeah.
many bad things going on out there that parents need to really be present and really, and I get it. Life happens, we're working, we're trying to maintain a household and do all these things. But we didn't choose, the kids didn't choose to be born. We chose to have them. So we need to do our part, right?
This book. Have you read this book? Okay.
Yeah, I did actually.
I swear, it's like I think quoting me. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's so
but you're
important.
absolutely
And
right.
I do think I actually did a DBT class with my daughter, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. And that was huge. Just it helped me realize how I communicate. Am I a fixer? Am I someone when she tells me something, I just go right into fix it mode, which is not what she needs. Maybe she just needs validation. I learned that. And now our communication is so much better, and then cognitive behavioral therapy as well is great. There's so many options out there. And honestly, I did a class in person and that was amazing. But if you don't have that time on your way to work, literally you could listen to a podcast that can help you with your child, like we're doing now. And you can get even little nuggets that if you implemented can completely change the communication between you and your child.
100%. And one of the things I talk about in the book, and I work with is my kids, the kids I work with, uh, I send them to Allison.com, ALISON.com. There's over 4,000. No, I don't get money off this. I'm just trying to help you. There's over 4,000 classes, free classes on that website.
Yeah,
And you can type in anything. And CBT is one of them. DBT is one of them. Psychology is on there. Communications on there. Parenting is on there. I've actually taken parenting classes on there just during
right,
COVID. I took two of them. Coursera is another awesome site. Now, Coursera might charge a little bit, but Allison is 100% free. So if you're a parent and you are wondering, where do I get these free classes? How do I find this information? Go on Allison, ALISON.com, and just in the search bar, type anything that you're having concerns with: mental health, depression, anything with your kids, understanding kids,
right.
the adolescent mind. There's all these classes on there. Each class is maybe 2 to 3 hours. You can go through it. They're video based. You read some stuff. They're super easy, but it's a way for you to get more information to help your son or daughter. And
Exactly.
this is why we do these podcasts. This is why we do these things, because
Right,
young people, I feel we have failed them in so many ways and continue to do.
right.
And, for the last 13 years, people have asked me, why do you do this? Because this is our future. It sounds so cliche, but it's true. I mean,
It
if
is.
our kids don't want to work, if they don't want to get out of bed, if they don't want to uh, socialize, if they are consumed with the internet, we're not going to have a workforce. We're not going to have all these great things that we have now, because our kids aren't going to feel like they deserve it. They're not going to feel like they're worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen the outcome of that in the last 10 years. And it's not good. It's not pretty.
Yes. Yeah.
What we're seeing now, too, more and more, is we're seeing a lot of more adult like crimes with kids that need someone cling to, whoever will say hello to them. And that's usually not a positive role model.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you get kids in your school, you said they're in recovery. Uh, that tells me that they've been involved with some pretty dark stuff. And uh, I just heard last night that um, I didn't know this person, but some people who I do know did know this person, very young, 19, 20 years old, just OD'd. And it makes me wonder, if we know that these things are bad and fentanyl's everywhere, why do our kids still go to these things? They go to these things because they need connection. They need people like Giselle. They need people that will listen to them and help them feel important and help them feel heard and help them
Right.
feel seen. And as parents, we have to be that first line of defense. Not
Right.
every school is going to be set up like Victory High School. Not every school
Exactly.
is going to have the staff like Giselle. Not every school is going to have the money, the resources, or quite frankly, the people to care as much.
Right.
And it means that our kids are going to be out.
Yeah.
So,
And it's unfortunate because we are saving lives and we have to depend on grants and donors. I mean, it's not even like we can get funded. And it's like we're doing a job that most don't want to do, but we're saving kids' lives. Like, why is it so difficult to keep our school funded? It doesn't make any sense to me. There's obviously, these kids are out here and they're doing things that they should not be doing and they're dying, and we need to help them. And also, like, parents need to understand that if they're not connecting with their child and they need help, it does take a village. And I say that on my post every time. I'm like, always like, it takes a village. If you feel like you cannot connect with your child, I mean, so many people that hire me to work with their students is because they just cannot get that connection. Whether the child is over them, nagging them all the time, or the parent doesn't even understand what the kid's needs are. So it's so important to have someone just even as a mediator. And I see how, like, when I can come in and go, I'm going to work with the child and I'll tell the child, I don't have to let your parent know really what's going on. I mean, I communicate with the parents always, but I'm like, this is between you and I. And then you kind of build that trust, right? And you'll see how the relationship between the parent and the child then improves.
Mhm.
And it's really great to see that because now the parent is not that nagging parent. The parent can check in like they're supposed to because parents should do that, but it every child is different, every situation is different. If you feel you're not connecting, get the help that you need, whatever it is, whether it's mental health, whether it's tutoring, whether it's my kids. I was in education all my life. My kids always had tutors. You know, my son was severe ADHD, and I knew I didn't have the patience. I had the patience for other people's kids, but with mine, it was difficult. And I knew that. So what did I do? I went and hired a tutor. And she was amazing. And she helped him. And I was able to be mommy and just cuddle and love on him and not have to be like, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, because he needed that structure. And although I provided it in so many ways, I was able to do it in a fun way as well and not just have to be that parent that was always on him for everything, because that can cause the relationship to be fractured, and it happens so often, and I see it, especially when they're teens. Like you said, they're trying to have autonomy and become their independent, and they think they know everything, and they just don't want to hear it from their parents. Unfortunately, I can come in and say the same thing that their mother said yesterday, and mom will get the only attitude, and they'll be like, okay, Miss Giselle, and I'm like, okay. And I'll tell the mom, like, I just told him he had to do this. She's like, yeah, I kind of did that yesterday too, and it just didn't work. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, so get the help you need. Whatever it is going to take for your child to be successful, do it now. Don't keep waiting and waiting, because then they might get too far gone. It's going to be hard to get them back.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. Um, well, tell people how they can find you. Where's your website and how can they reach out to you to get your help? I'm guessing you do a lot of
Yes.
stuff virtually,
So
so
my,
around the country can
yeah,
probably reach out to you.
right. So my website is growthinconnections.com, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all of those, YouTube. And I try to give tidbits to parents all the time, just giving them like, you know, reminding parents to have self-care too. So I don't only focus on the student, I also focus on the parent. I am a step up provider. So that's for our Florida people. But I work all over the states because I'm virtual. I work everywhere. I can see children anywhere and parents, support them, get them what they need to get their student on track, and just be so that they can be their child's best advocate. That's what I always say. Like, we want to support parents so that they can be an advocate for their students.
Awesome. Well, I will put everything in the show notes, all your
Thank
information,
you.
and let people know how to find you. And
Great.
this has been really good. So I'm gonna just mention this. We did one of these the other day in the technical difficulties on my side. So thank you for coming back and redoing this. It was
Oh, I'm so happy to be
something we
here.
had to do,
Thank
but
you.
I appreciate you coming back and sharing your time and your wisdom. And I'll definitely have you back on to dig into some more of those other topics that we talked about that we
Great.
mentioned, because those are super, super important as well.
Yes.
And that's another podcast series I have called True Parental Leadership, and that's another series for this summer. We're jumping into some difficult conversations, some good things, just all about being a parent today in the digital world and understanding not only what our kids are going through, but how this affects you as a parent
Right.
and the changes that we have to make to accommodate for technology and different things that our kids are going through that we didn't do in the 80s and 90s and earlier. So two
Right.
podcast series. This is a good one. So Giselle, thank you so much for coming on. I certainly
Well,
appreciate
thank you, Chris.
it. We'll have you on again. All right,
All
everybody.
right.
Another Lead Teen podcast. My name is Chris Mahan. You can reach out to me at leadyourteen@gmail.com or right here on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you see this. And we'd love to help you and connect. Let's just make this a huge community type thing. All right. So see you later, and
Take
we'll talk
care.
again real soon.
Thank you.